This is going to be one of the official stream partner co-streams of the Future Game Show. Here on Reforge Gaming, we have always enjoyed these showcases. We've co-streamed them pretty much anytime they happen, whether it's the spring or the summer. And thank you so much for checking this out. If you're watching the past broadcast, skip ahead about 27 minutes. We went live roughly 30 minutes before it goes live, which is 3 p.m. Eastern. We appreciate you guys so much supporting and enjoying all of the various content that we do on this channel for our Summer Game Fest coverage. We covered the kickoff event with Geoff Keighley. We will also be covering the Xbox Showcase on Sunday, which is followed by a Call of Duty event, which is then going to be, followed by the PC Game Show. And then on Monday, we are also going to be covering UB Forward. So we appreciate you guys tuning in so much. I know you guys have been enjoying, maybe you've been hanging out with Kirk over on What's New Video Games, and he's been covering some of the other events. I try not to cover every single thing. E3 used to basically take over my life for an entire week, and that's just not the case anymore. So we're excited to limit the coverage a little bit, but to cover the good events. Excuse me. And we actually watched Devolver Digital last night as well. We watched that last night with the members. So if you're a member, you can check that out. No, there's no chance of a Borderlands 4 announcement today. I know they're saying that the announcement's imminent. At this point, the biggest event's going to be Xbox's event. So it's very, very possible that it's included in that. I honestly don't know. Yeah, Lego Horizons. Yeah, I think it looks really, really good. I don't see any reason why. There are people that are on all sides. I think. I know my kiddos are going to be really excited to play it. We were playing Hypercharge this morning, the game where you play as like action figures, and we were playing that this morning. Split screen. It's on Xbox. Great game. Had a blast with it. So very excited to see that game. I think that game could go the distance. It's really, really fun. Anything big from Devolver? There were some cool games for sure. They're indie titles. So Heart Machine, they're the ones behind Hyper Light Drifter. They had a really cool one. Then the team from Gris, they make like really artistic games. They got a really cool looking game. I'm struggling to remember the names of some of the games. I did wish list some of them. And I'm trying to remember what all I wish listed last night. Let's see. We wish listed a handful of things. There was Tenjutsu, looked really, really cool. We wish listed that as well. And there were a couple that weren't available yet. They were just like announcing them. So yeah, it was I thought Devolver did a great job. It was a little bit shorter, and that's typically how it runs. And they spent a lot of time doing sort of like a little short story about this guy who loves Volvi. No, it was cool. So appreciate you guys being here. We got a little bit of time to kill. 24 minutes before the Future Game Show starts. So do me a favor and smash that like button. It's unusual for us to stream on a Saturday. So I hope you guys are enjoying some of the extra content, so the extra show. Tomorrow we'll do the same thing. We'll go live. We'll go live a little bit before the Xbox Showcase. Mediocre Milton, Hanshot first, and so did you. Kicking off the stream with a little gifted member there. So thank you so much for doing that. Good to see Ice Queen Gaming. Saw you just a little bit ago. I was basically making my Photoshop. I was making my thumbnail for this show and typing everything up. And when I opened up YouTube, I saw Brap was live. And I was like, oh, let me see what Brap's talking about. And he was hanging out with Detective Seeds. Forte got in there. And always good to hear their takes on things. And expecting much from this show. Listen, I don't expect anything in this show to knock me out of the chair. I just think Future Game Show is incredibly consistent. They put good games on our radar. They do a very good job with pacing. I think they really respect the viewer with how they structure things. I have never disliked one of their shows, and we are one of their official stream partners. They've reached out before. They've sent me some really nice packages and things. They're really, really great organization. I like what they do. They get good hosts, and I enjoy their shows. Congratulations on Sony starting a third-party vision. Well, it's not a third-party vision if you actually pay attention to what Herman Hulst said. He talked about how there would be 3 categories. There's the live service, there's obviously the big tentpole first-party titles, and then there's experimental. And Lego Horizon's obviously an experimental game. You know, whenever you do something with Lego, they're likely going to have a say in what's going on. And they partnered with Lego a couple of years ago. So if the people that are running with the narrative that means they're going third-party, you just look embarrassingly misinformed. They just informed shareholders about their strategy. And if you think a Lego game is somehow a repudiation of what they just told shareholders, I think that you're ignorant. So, and DK Baker comes in with one, and so does MASH. Thank you so much, guys, for gifting those members. Appreciate it. The things that they say to the shareholders, you can't walk those back. Like, that's not a thing. This is like when the CFO from Xbox said what he said, and everybody hand-waved it and act like it wasn't going to happen, and now all those people look accurately as stupid as they are. And so we're sitting in a similar situation. The same people that, you know, tried to act like what the CFO said wouldn't stick. They're trying to do the same thing. They're like, yeah, well, what Herman Hulst said doesn't count because of a Lego game. Like, I genuinely don't think people even understand the world that they're attempting to commentate on. It's just brazen business ignorance, and that's why I don't take it serious. I just call it what it is. It's stupid. It's not informed. It's not accurate. It's just console warring. Yo, Stonespire gifts a member, bumps the line to 4. Thank you so much, Stonespire. Appreciate you, homie. Hilly says, I need you to run through all the games yesterday because I had too many beers. I did count 6 women on stage, though, so Twitter will be happy. Although I think Geoff has made a massive mistake now. He's no longer controls Summer Game Fest. I don't think you can say that the Twitter mob controls Summer Game Fest. And Stonespire sets up the 5 out of 25. This guy never stops. He's always trying to set up those 20-bomb dunker baits. You the man, Stonespire. You are. You're the man. I lost a second time. We're expecting to hear anything about Space Marine 2 today. I'm sorry if I missed your question. They did a Space Marine 2 trailer, like, commercial last night. I would imagine if Space Marine 2 is going to do some kind of a show, like a gameplay or something like that, they would probably save it for Xbox. Third party is third party, regardless of people want to relegate it. Yeah, now you're just speaking nonsense. That you're not saying anything. You're not arguing a point. You're literally retreating. Like, you can't engage with what I said. Herman Hulst clearly gave 3 categories to shareholders, and the Lego Horizon game falls in experimental. To pretend that experimental, just what we're never going to see an experimental game, and if we do that means they're going third party. Again, you don't have an argument. You're not going to analyze it from a logical position. You're not going to think from a business perspective. You're just console warring. I think it's pathetic. I think constantly putting everything into those categories is tiresome. I think people like you are slowly fading into the background, which I welcome. I'm tired of having to deal with bad faith, ignoramuses who don't understand the business world they consistently commentate on. It's just tiring. Instead of celebrating a game, everybody quickly ran to Twitter to be like, yes, let's console war, right? They did the same thing with Black Myth Wukong. Instead of just analyzing what actually happened and being like, yep, you've got weaker hardware over there, and another game who's trying to push graphical fidelity and a new engine, they're not landing on Xbox day and date. And instead of just calling it what it is, everybody had to console war and falsely claim that PlayStation paid and money had it and, signed some deal. That's just all lies. Like, it just gets tiring. It's like we can't even enjoy showcases anymore without all these, zero integrity, bad faith liars just hijacking every conversation. Anything outside the typical movie game can be considered experimental. I mean, this is incorrect because experimental would fall under the bullet points on the presentation that they gave. And what AOZ is saying is very important. Misleading shareholders can make you liable legally. Like, if Herman Hulst walked out and said what he said, and you honestly think this Lego Horizon game is a repudiation of what he said to shareholders, there would be a significant firestorm of legal problems. You cannot tell shareholders one thing and do another. This is why when the CFO said what he said at the end of last year, we tried to tell people, we're like, this is coming. You can't say that to shareholders or would-be investors. So when they were at that the Wells Fargo summit, it was like, of course, Xbox was signaling where things were headed. And the same people that denied that are now the same morons and buffoons who are like, oh, Lego Horizon means that PlayStation's third party. Oh, golly. Like, they have the intellectual depth of a thimble. Like, they don't have any understanding of what they're talking about. It's just... I can't wait for people to stop listening more and more to these folks. They don't know what they're talking about. You know, you're listening to somebody talk about quantum physics who doesn't know how to operate a calculator. You know, I just don't know why anybody would listen to these people. If you look past the Lego game, they all have been all console with exception for Marvel Collection, which had a no Switch model. I'm not sure what you mean. If you look past the Lego game, they all have been all console with the exception of the Marvel Collection. Did we finally get to talk about quantum physics? You've been waiting. You've been waiting for this moment. Yeah, Killer Bean looked pretty fun, dude. I love games like that. I love games that just take a corny, principle and do it. It is what it is. Nintendo's the last one standing with true exclusives. This is also untrue. None of the major tentpole titles are going to other consoles, and porting them to PC later doesn't mean they're not an exclusive. Like, it's a console exclusive, and they're getting new user acquisition. I don't think you can say that 1/3 of PlayStation 5 owners not owning a PS4, like, that's significant. Did you know Black Myth Wukong isn't full price, $70? What are they pricing it at, $60? I mean, it's a smaller team, right? So it may be a smaller game. I don't know what the playtime's going to, clock in at. So maybe that's why. Lego Games Group is just doing a game based this time on Sony's IP. Same what they do with Batman, Sonic, Star Wars. This doesn't mean mainline games will be on other platforms. That's precisely correct. We know disagree. This fits what they told the investors, yet there's almost nothing new about it. It's a simple Lego game. Right, and I think that's what everybody's missing. It's a Lego game with Horizon IP. Now, if you think about it, again, I said this last night, my kiddos are going to play Astrobot. My kiddos are going to play Lego Horizon. And what that's doing is that's creating... What you're creating then is a generation who thinks of PlayStation and PlayStation IP as like, that's what they engage with. Those are the games that they're going to be drawn to. It's actually a really, really smart strategy because they've already secured people in my age bracket. Like, you're generally going to find people in my age bracket pretty settled on what they like and, what they're going to be drawn to. And you'll get some people to move around. Right? You'll get some people to move around. But the generation behind me is probably, arguably, more important than continuing to just make games for me. So if they're going to be doing experimental things like, oh, let's do a Lego game with our property, try to get more people to say, hey, PlayStation's got really cool stuff, and then maybe they buy a PlayStation, right? Because if you're only able to play Lego Horizon on the Nintendo, there's two games that are awesome looking. Those big robots. You see those big robots, and you find maybe they even make new sets. I'll be excited if there's new Lego sets to buy. I love the tall neck set. It's a good set. I can explain the millions of PS5 owners who didn't have PS4, and my logic is foolproof. The PS5 owners who didn't have a PS4 are all 2-year-olds. You gonna buy it on Switch? No, I have no reason to buy a game like that on the Nintendo Switch. I would buy it on PlayStation. Because I bought a Marvel game once on the Nintendo Switch, and it just doesn't perform very well. It's just, and then I bought it on Xbox so my kiddos could play there. So it just makes more sense to buy games like that where you're going to get a better experience. Like, I'm anxious for the Nintendo Switch too. Yeah, I am, but I still will probably buy most of my games on. If I can buy it in both places, I'll buy it on my PS5 because I'll have a PS5 Pro. Why would Sony put the Lego game on Switch and not Xbox when Switch is far bigger competitor in the console market than Xbox? Because Switch is not a competitor to PlayStation. PlayStation has actually argued this, in a legal setting. They don't view Nintendo as a competitor because PlayStation has its target set on like high-end console gaming, and that is not what Nintendo targets. So, and again, it's a Lego game, so you're not taking Horizon, you're not taking God of War and having to dumb down the graphics to get it to run on a Nintendo. That's not something I think we would ever see. Because what PlayStation's main property and main offering is not something that Nintendo is ever going to encroach on. They're just not going to encroach on it. Like, you're not going to see Nintendo come out with like mainline tentpole titles that are competing with PlayStation. They're going for a completely different value proposition. And a lot of the people who own a PlayStation also own a Nintendo Switch because they're completely different games. They're completely different, value sets. I won't be able to do that, Kirk. Redirect only works when it's been scheduled or if it's a premiere that's scheduled. PlayStation can say that, but they're all competing for our attention. I mean, I think that's a very simplistic way to view it. I don't think PlayStation views Nintendo as a threat in that realm. And I also think if you're putting your property on Nintendo, what you're attempting to do is, again, I feel like PlayStation is planting seeds. They're farming. They're trying to get people on other platforms to consider, like, hey, maybe I would go over there and try out their games, right? I mean, that's what they're doing on PC, and that's what this Lego game is going to also do. It's going to plant a seed that the Horizon property's pretty cool, and there's cool characters and cool monsters. And I mean, there's nobody out there right now that's going to say, oh, well, because I can get Lego Horizon Adventures on Switch and PlayStation, I don't need a PlayStation. Like, that argument would be this. If anybody were to say that out loud, you would laugh at them. You'd be like, are you serious? Like, that would be the game? Like, that's not the game that's going to make somebody buy a console. They're selling to an existing user base that likes to buy games like that. Like, that's what they're doing. I have the same view of exclusivity I always have. I don't care about it, and a handful of decent games isn't enough to make me switch platforms. Yeah, I mean, I don't switch. I just buy everything. So, I mean, my viewpoint is to have everything possible. Like, when the Nintendo Switch 2 drops and the PS5 Pro drops, looking into upgrading my gaming rig, my PCs, like, I just want to have every potential platform available to me. It's not on PS4 because they want to sell PS5s. Yeah, I think people are really looking at the situation upside down, because more than likely Lego said, if we're going to make a game and you're going to use the Lego branding, we would like this game to be a multi-platform release. And PlayStation basically negotiated and said, that's fine. We don't want it on Xbox and we don't want it on the PlayStation 4 because we're trying to sell PS5s. PlayStation made it clear they're no longer going to be making like first-party games for PS4. Spider-Man 2 was the beginning of that new era. So the fact that PlayStation negotiated in that way, it lets you know how they're viewing this. They're not viewing this as like a worrisome thing or a threat. It's like, no, we're doing this deal with Lego. It gets our property in front of more people, and it's not one of our mainline games. It's a smaller, it's a Lego game. Lego games typically are everywhere. A 5-spot from Edward Hull says, interested to see what games will be shown off at future game show. I reckon Britt Barron and Roger Clark are going to be great hosts. I don't know if I've ever watched an event with them as hosts, so we'll see. Nobody's moving from PS4 to PS5 for Lego Horizon. I mean, I don't think that's the idea, King of Games. I think the idea is if you're on a PS4, you're going to consistently see games come out that you cannot get. So as that list gets longer, it becomes more compelling, right? So Spider-Man 2, Burning Shores DLC, Lego Horizon Adventures, Astro Bot. Like, once these games all start hitting, eventually the PS4 guys are going to say, okay, there's enough. I'm missing out on enough. It's time for me to make the jump. We're halfway through the generation of the console, and they have received and half of their user base, half of their monthly active user base is on a PS5. So I would imagine they're very happy with that, especially when 1/3 of those people didn't even come from PS4. They're coming from somewhere else. Right, you might not move for 3 games, but what about 10? The more and more they leave behind PlayStation 4, the more and more those PlayStation 4 owners are going to say, now it's time to jump. The PS5 Pro is potentially going to do that with its enhancements. You're going to have this laundry list of games that, yes, have already been out, but are going to look and run even better. Death by a Thousand Cuts. it's more like you're just stacking things on a scale, right? The more and more things you put on the PS5 that PS4 guys can't get, the more and more that scale drops, and eventually it's heavy enough that they say, "Yeah, I'm switching now. I'm not staying here anymore." It's a common thing, right? The slow adoption rate into new hardware is not abnormal, you know. The gen isn't almost over; it's half over. This gen is almost over. Yeah, no, it's not almost over. It's halfway through. There's 4 more years. Maybe you could argue 5 more years, depending on what they want to do with the timing of the PS6. So there's 4 more years. The amount of years that we've been in this gen, that's how many years are left, and maybe a little bit more. They may have the PS6 timing be slightly different than everybody's expecting. So if you're halfway through the gen and half of your monthly active users are on your new console, I would say that's pretty good. You know, they're having their most successful generation yet. Like the debate about PlayStation and how well their consoles have sold or how well their games have sold, people quite literally just lie. They just make things up because they want to believe that their team's winning, or they want to believe that the other team that they don't like is losing. And it's just like, these are just facts, man. I don't even know why people fight against them as hard as they do. It just is embarrassing. The generation length isn't fixed. Yeah, I actually think we have 5 more years, personally. My own prediction is that the PS6 lands in 2029. I think they're going to bump it by 1 year because of what happened at the beginning of this gen and what they're going to be able to do on the back half of this gen, especially with the PS5 Pro. I think they're going to stretch by 1 year. That's just my personal prediction. I don't have any evidence to say that. It's just my analysis of the situation tells my brain and my gut that they're gonna stretch by 1 year. I think that they're going to go a little bit longer. Number one, I think it could be related to the sickie and the pandemic, but I also think it could be related to the fact that development cycles are getting longer and longer. So the payout for the PS5 and the PS5 Pro in its second half, that payout's just going to take a little bit longer for some studios because the dev cycles are getting longer. At what point are the PS5 and Series consoles not next gen anymore? Well, they wouldn't be next gen the minute you introduce the next gen. Next gen's like a moving term, right? So the minute they announce the PS6, that becomes the quote-unquote next gen. I haven't had a chance to read through the Mark Cerny interview, but I've seen snippets. He's, fairly consistently destroying, more false narratives that we've consistently seen from people who, aren't interested in facts. Lono, you seem to be the only one taking this view. It's refreshing. Which view is that? Which view do you feel like I'm the only one taking? What year was Back to the Future 2 set in? Are we past that? I think we're past that, isn't it? Or is it 2025? I can't remember. I feel like people Photoshop that image all the time and say, this is the year. I feel like I've seen that before. And it's just Photoshop. The games will have to only be able to run on newer hardware to be considered next gen. No, I don't agree with that definition. I think that definition is, again, just ignorant into the way that games are made. Games are made in engines, and those engines can be updated and have features added to them, and those features can then only be leveraged on certain pieces of hardware. The hardware has to be strong enough. So, for example, there were things in Horizon Forbidden West that they could not do on the PlayStation 4, but you received those features when you played Horizon Forbidden West on the PS5. That's a next-gen game. Just because they're making it playable on the old gen doesn't mean it's not next-gen. That's a foolish way to look at development of video games because there's always a spectrum of hardware, even on PC games. So if a game comes out for PC and has ray tracing, path tracing, 4K, and all these really, really fancy next-gen features, but they went in and they optimized the engine to ensure that it could run on older hardware, is that not a next-gen game? Like, that's how ignorant that argument is. It's an ignorant argument that's not rooted in facts. It's just a way to besmirch games because if it's cross-generational supported, then it doesn't count. And that was just a strategy used by Xbox guys because their launch titles were non-existent and PlayStation had launch titles the first three were Demon Souls Remake, Returnal, and Ratchet and Clank, but then they wanted to act like Horizon Forbidden West and God of War and Gran Turismo. Though they didn't count because they were cross-generation. Well, that was just a weird way to keep score that doesn't line up with how games are created. If a game is created in an engine and they harness a bunch of amazing new technology on the PlayStation 6, but they also know, look, this engine can run on a PS5 and PS5 Pro because it's the same engine we built the last game in. You just have to strip the features down. That when you play that game on the PlayStation 6, you would be playing a next-gen game. Next-gen is determined by the features that are leveraged, not by where it's playable. If you developed a game for PC and you leverage all these amazing next-gen features and you optimize the game to run on old hardware, it would still be considered a next-gen game. Hypercharge with the kids was so fun, Borbs. I sent a tweet. Hypercharge retweeted it. That game is a freaking blast. That game has a ton of potential. As soon as my kids saw the figures, like the action figures and how you could change them, they were like, let's go. They wanted to play. My daughter stopped playing the game that she was playing because she wanted to join my son and I. Michael, you said the view that PlayStation's trying to get younger gamers into the IP. Yeah, I think people are really missing that boat when they look at Astro Bot and Lego Horizon Adventures. I don't think they see that PlayStation's playing a very long game. They're looking at a brand new generation of gamers that are coming into gaming right now, and they're giving them touch points to be familiar with and to enjoy PlayStation IP. I think it's a very smart play. You cannot keep appealing to the existing audience. So, let me get their music on.
Peggy 12.
Coming to Kickstarter.
So the funny thing is that his name actually was Lenny, so he thought everyone was screaming about him, going, Lenny!
Okay.
Oh, welcome back.
Hi, did you enjoy those trailers? Good, because there's more where that came from.
Let's get back into it with a new trailer for The Precinct.
ACPD, drop it now.
My advice, keep your head down. Don't piss off the chief. Stick to your beat, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get to retirement in one piece like me.
You, stop there.
We got him in handcuffs, dispatch. 10-4, aerial unit inbound. Central, be advised, suspect missed the spikes. Central to all units, bank robbery in progress.
Cuff him up, boot.
All right, kid. You did good today. I'll see you in the morning.
That was The Precinct, which is coming to PC, PlayStation, and Xbox on August 15th, 2024.
If you like to try before you buy, then good news. Every game in this next section has a demo attached that you can play after the show.
Days are coming! Any of you dimwits still breathing?
My turn. He'll feel that in his ganglion.
Oh, I think we've seen this before. This game looked... Oh, well. We'll have to wait.
First up is Motor Doom, a gnarly BMX roguelike.
Here, I'll turn my cam
that
off.
blends Tony Hawk's Pro Skater with Vampire Survivors.
Next up is Angeline Era, a non-linear adventure game where you dodge traps and bump/slash enemies to save an ancient world.
Here's 10 Dead Doves, a psychological horror game where you seek out an urban legend in the Appalachian wilderness.
Servonauts is next, a couch co-op party game where you wield wobbly pipes to manage the galaxy's most chaotic gas station.
Design the future in Dystopica, a cozy cyberpunk city builder where you can create the metropolis of your dreams.
Next in line is Guntouchables, a co-op roguelite where teams of preppers repel an evolving mutant invasion.
And this is Wild Bastards, a rootin' tootin' roguelike shooter where you manage a crew of intergalactic outlaws. And last but not least, this is Metal Suits, a run-and-gun space shooter starring a cyborg veteran out for revenge.
Head to the Future Games Show Steam page to find all those demos and everything else featured in today's show.
Brett, I've got someone I'd like you to meet. Goes by the name of Eugene McQuacklin. They're a private eye, following the breadcrumbs of a foul salami scheme.
A duck detective. Please, say no more.
The truth. The truth is an ugly mistress. But I ain't no ugly duckling.
Hi, I'm Johnny.
And I'm Monica.
and we're from Happy Broccoli Games.
Right now we're working on Duck Detective: The Secret Salami, where solving crime is no walk in the pond. You are a down-on-his-luck detective who also happens to be a duck.
I was a freshly divorced duck, not able to pay next month's rent.
Use your powers of deduction to inspect evidence, fill in the blanks, and bust the case wide open in a narrative mystery adventure that's not quite as it seems.
Everyone has a motive, or a secret.
Duck Detective is a 2 to 3 hour long mystery game that's inspired by games like Return of the Obra Dinn and Case of the Golden Idol. The game is fully voiced, and of course it has a dedicated quack button.
Today we're really excited to share with you that Duck Detective is coming to mobile later this year.
Now you can already play Duck Detective on Steam and Switch.
Thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
Hannah! I'm a different duck now. I haven't had a slice of bread in weeks. Duck Detective: The Secret Salami.
Duck Detective: The Secret Salami is out now on PC and Nintendo Switch, with mobile ports coming later this year.
This next trailer is for the RPG fans out there. Sacrifier is inspired by the 90s classics and features a soundtrack composed by Motoi Sakuraba.
Few are worthy of the title you are about to receive. The bishops are more than soldiers. They are guardians.
He took the Malcora.
Enough!
Ezekiel, the dome is under attack. You must retrieve the Malcora.
Statues coming to life. Am I dreaming?
Get what you deserve.
Damn it! Where did the thief go? Give me the Malcora! No!
Guys, thanks for chilling. Make sure and smash that like button. It helps more people find this
Sacrifier
video.
is coming soon.
Appreciate you.
Playtest just went live on Steam. If you want to try it out before launch, I feel like it's time we add another game to our yearbook, right, Britt?
I think that's a good idea. You know what? More than a decade later, we're finally getting a sequel to Warhammer 40k Space Marine. Space Marine 2 is landing in September, and here's everything you need to know about it.
Nothing will survive our wrath.
Chainswords at the ready, because Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 is staining the pages of our Ones to Watch yearbook with gallons of Xeno's blood. Space Marine 2 is the hotly anticipated follow-up to Relic Entertainment's 2011 third-person shooter. Helmed by Saber Interactive this time around, Space Marine 2 promises even more guts and glory for up to 3 players across its galactic co-op campaign. You are dropped into the clanking, capable boots of Lieutenant Demetrian Titus, voiced by Clive Standen of Vikings fame.
Delta Wing, report.
The spores collapsed the bridge. There's no way through.
Get into assault position by the bridge.
Let us show them some of Ultima's hospitality!
Come forth and be slaughtered.
Titus is a true Space Marine, the Emperor's personal angel of death, a stoic ultramarine with a penchant for defending the Imperium. Though at the start of the game, he's dealing with the aftermath of a suspicious demotion and an even more pressing existential matter, the Tyranid scourge threatening mankind. Space Marine 2 will transport players to the front lines of the Fourth Tyrannic War, with hundreds of creatures coating the screen as you trudge through the biomes of perilous planets. From Tyranid warriors, Hormagaunts, gargoyles, and quite likely much larger foes, you'll be overwhelmed in short order if you and your team don't keep your wits about you.
Gosh, it looks
The
good.
grisly combat blends over-the-shoulder shooting with a deep melee brawling system, allowing you to parry, dodge, pull off brutal combos, and execute your enemies to top up armor supplies.
You will pay, you rotten toxic!
It's a metal maelstrom of chaotic conflict, and we're excited to see what Titus and the gang will face up against when the game launches later this year. Space Marine 2 is coming to PlayStation, Xbox and PC on the 9th of September, so there's still plenty of time to scrub up on the wealth of 40k lore before you suit up and ship out on this gnarly Warhammer adventure.
It almost looks too good to be true. Like, I'm so concerned about performance. It looks insanely good.
Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 is coming to PC, PlayStation, and Xbox on September 9th, 2024. We still have one more game to add to our yearbook, so keep an eye out.
Before we get to that, though, how about another world premiere?
Yeah. Okay, but... I have to admit, this is a bit of a wild one. I think it needs a Wrangler's touch. Just give me a second. Whoa! Easy now. You're all right. You're all right. Stop it! Stop it! Just 1 second.
Peggy 12.
It looked good. I just am not, like, I don't know. I tried playing Rayman Legends
Nico
again
de
recently.
Rico is an all-new mascot platform.
And, like, if I play a platformer like that, I really just want it to be a Metroidvania. Like, that one looked really good.
Which was announced today. It's coming soon to PC and consoles.
You might have seen our next game before. It blew up on social media for its hyper-realistic graphics. Here's the latest trailer for Body Cam.
I think these guys have sent me codes to play this. Yeah, it's out on Steam right now, yeah.
Body Cam is out now on Steam, so go check it out.
All right, it's time for our final trailer. And with keeping with tradition, this one is a super special world premiere.
But before we wrap things up, I have one small question for you, Roger Clark. Aerith or Tifa?
That's interesting. I feel like that's kind of a loaded question in this scenario.
Oh, no. It's just a hypothetical, you know? There's no wrong answers.
Okay, well, you see, that's really interesting, you know?
It's taking you a long time to answer this.
Well, if I had to choose between Tifa and Aerith, I think I would have to go with...
No, he didn't say final trailer. He said it was the last of their ones to watch. They have like that ones to watch yearbook, and it was the last. It was the last one from that.
That was a quick taste of what's to come from Woodrunner Games, an indie studio featuring developers who worked on Cuphead and Rick and Morty.
The game's full reveal is expected later this year.
Which would coincide with the next Future Games show. Interesting. Brett, I hate to say goodbye, but that's a wrap on the Summer Showcase.
Oh, man. You know what, though? I'm just glad we got to do this together. We were outlaws to the end.
Damn right we were. Thanks for sharing the stage with me. And cheers to all of you guys for tuning in. But don't leave just yet, cowboy, because we've got the post-show coming up right after this with more trailers and deep dives on the way.
There'll also be tons of follow-up content on GamesRadar.com and our FGS social channels on YouTube and TikTok.
Finally, before we take off, we'd also like to thank the hardworking developers, trailer makers, PR representatives, and everyone across the games industry who worked with us to make this summer showcase a reality. Even in such turbulent times, we couldn't have done it without you.
Don't forget to head to the Future Games Show Steam page to find all of today's games and check out some of the demos we discussed. I know we mention it a lot, but your wish lists go a long way. So, if you like a project, go ahead and show it.
I'm Roger Clark.
And I'm Britt Barron.
And this has been the Future Games Show Summer Showcase 2024.
Great job.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't have like a proper like final trailer. I thought it was a great showcase. I think Future Game Show always does a great job. I think they always do great work. Tons of games I saw in there that I'm very interested in. That I think, you know, could get wish listed, could get played later on all the various types of streams that we like to do. Bogdan's Cross, First Dwarf, That was like the third person action adventure game where you could like, you're like a dwarf in a mech and you can build and all of that. Once Human in Sync, the co-op puzzle game, could be really fun. Big Boy Boxing, you know, inspired by Punch Out and Super Punch Out. Parcel Core, not really my kind of game, but it actually looked like it could be fun. The one where you're on the bike. Screenbound really reminds me of the vibe from like Viewfinder. The Relic First Guardian, that was a Souls-like that looked really good. I couldn't tell if the stream itself was hitching or if the game was hitching. It was hard to tell. The Precinct was like a classic top-down, like try to catch the bad guys, you know, chasing them in cars with the helicopters and stuff. That's coming August 15th. Servonauts, good couch co-op. Gun Touchables, a co-op rogue. Wild Bastards, a rogue shooter. Space Marine 2 just continues to look unbelievably good. I just wonder if it's actually going to run that well. They're actually showing footage here of Starship Troopers. It looks better than what they showed during the showcase. What they showed during the showcase looked kind of awkward, like it wasn't ready to be shown yet or something. Goat Sim Multiverse of Nonsense DLC looked fun. Skim, the one where you're playing like a little shadow creature, looked cool. That's July 19th. Run from Mummies was the co-op dungeon one. Madragora, the side-scroller Souls game, had great lighting. Dustborn looks like a fun game where you could make like decisions, like maybe a good decision-making game with Madam. Enter the Chronosphere, the Bullet Hill turn-based game. Eternal Strands just continues to look really fun, I think, as long as it plays well with like the big, it's almost like a action adventure, you know, like Immortals of Phoenix Rising meets Shadow of the Colossus, and then the casting of Frank Stone. Those are all the ones that I wrote down. Yeah, so I thought that was good. Ooh. Excuse me. So the Xbox Showcase is the next thing that we will be covering. And that is tomorrow at 1 p.m. So I will go live tomorrow for that showcase beforehand, probably at like 12:30. So I look forward to seeing you guys there. And the member goal will reset tomorrow. And so this week it was only 300. Next week we always bump it up just because we think that's a fun way to kind of increase the incentive and just, you know, helps the channel continue to do what it's doing and doing this full time. So next week's goal will be 400, and it will be another scary game. And we'll let Madam kind of mess with me as a stretch goal incentive. So that resets tomorrow, so you guys can bring the heat and bring the insanity tomorrow during the Xbox Showcase, as well as the co-op show. As well as the Call of Duty Showcase, I should say, and the PC game show. So tomorrow should be a really good time. And then, you know, Monday and Tuesday are already pretty much booked. With what we'll be doing in the morning and the afternoons. You know, UB Forward is also on Monday. We'll be doing breakdowns and everything with me. We'll be doing secondary shows with Kirk. So be sure to check out Kirk over there at What's New Video Games. He's been streaming some of these showcases, and he may be streaming some later. I'm not sure. But he already did one earlier. I think he kind of watched it with you guys. Some of y'all were over there. So enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Thanks so much, guys, for supporting this shorter stream. We really do like working together. We really like working with Future Game Show. And we're very appreciative of them making us one of their stream partners. Yeah, 1 p.m. Eastern, Hellfire. So I'll go live before that, probably like 12:30 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, there's a PC game show after the Xbox Showcase and after the Call of Duty thing. Yes, we typically cover that as well. The PC game show is always mega cringe and mega corny, but I love Frankie and I love Day 9. They're super sweet people. They're very nice. I've met them in real life, and they're really, really nice. It's just their vibe for the PC game show is always like super corny, cringy. It's like they do it on purpose. I think they like being that way. So Thanks so much for everything you guys do. Smash like on your way out. We might be able to get this stream to 300 likes. We had a pretty good turnout for a Saturday. I like never stream on a Saturday. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm going to go see what the kiddos are doing and all that. I think they were hanging out with some friends. So I might play some video games for a little while. And thanks so much for all you guys do. I'll see you tomorrow, man. The biggest show is tomorrow. That Xbox showcase is going to be huge. We'll see you then.